back in case number 2018 CA 5321, Kowalski versus Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Court has received a note from the jury. The note reads as follows: at 6:15 p.m. we will be done. TY. Do either side wish to look at the verdict form or at the note? Well, got another note from the jury. It says, y'all, we have not been able to locate any of the calculations about future amounts. Witness Kirby was on Zoom and Whitney mentioned them today, and it was said that we'd have all this at deliberation. Well, if we do have it, we ain't found it in all these files. So, without these witness figures, you'll be lucky if there's enough awarded to pay your gas to drive to court, or we'll be here till next Friday. Here's the verdict form, or the verdict form, the note form, if you all want to come up and examine it. Okay, members of the jury, I've received two notes. One is at 6:15 will be done. Thank you. And then the other one says as follows: y'all, we have not been able to locate any of the calculations about future amounts. Witness Kirby was on Zoom and Whitney mentioned them today, and it was said that we'd have all this at deliberation. Well, if we do have it, we ain't found it in all these files. So without these witness figures, you'll be lucky if there's enough awarded to pay your gas to drive to court, or we'll be here till next Friday. So, did I misread that? No. Kind of?
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, this is serious. I mean, if I didn't read it properly, let me know. Okay. Let me say a couple of things. One, you have all the evidence in this case. And so you're going to have access to everything that's there. And since we're going to be closing down for the evening, I am going to ask the clerk's office to go in and grab the evidence so we can put that in a lock room tonight. Your room's going to also be secured, but the clerk has its procedures and we need to do that. So if the clerk can go ahead and do that right now. Now,
okay. What about can we get the transcription of Ms. Kirby overnight and then read her testimony?
well, I mean, you all have hired a private court reporter, and if you wish to pay for a court reporter to do something, that's between you and the court reporter. That being said, what is actually in evidence on this issue?
So, testimony, I believe, and we moved, and I think we marked for identification, but I don't know that we moved in or could move in her report. I tried to get her report in. Usually the economist comes in, but I don't think I was allowed for that to go in.
So the report's not in evidence?
I don't think so.
Yes.
We did move it.
Well, it is what it is at this point. So, what are we saying?
Well, I think the thing to do is let them know that we'll try to get her testimony transcribed overnight and then bring it in tomorrow morning. Hopefully our court reporter can give us an official transcript to be able to read to them, and that'll give them the numbers. unless somebody wants to agree to let them see the report, which is marked for ID. I try to get it in.
Well, what is the defense's position on what to do?
There could be a readback, Your Honor, of the testimony. I'm exceedingly, I haven't looked at that report lately. I'm exceedingly reluctant to agree to have a forensically created report put in evidence. There are several bases upon which we objected to it and upon which the court excluded it. And I'm reluctant to revisit that. I'm frankly kind of surprised with this jury, with the note taking that went on at the tenor of the note, because I would have thought that they jotted most of this down. I'm very reluctant, I suppose, to say anything other than the jury has heard the evidence and is expected to recall that evidence and trust its collective wisdom, or to read back the testimony.
The jury didn't actually ask for a readback.
We offer that as an option nonetheless to resolve their apparent dilemma.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Anderson is asking if we should offer a readback as a...
That's what I was suggesting.
Okay. So perhaps then, since both sides are okay with me offering a readback, is to tell them all the evidence you have all the exhibits that are in evidence. And if as it relates to witness Kirby, we can ask the court reporter to see if the court reporter is able to type up the testimony. Now, are we going to identify what part of the testimony, or is the entire testimony going to be read? If they ask for it.
I do not believe was longer than 30 minutes max. I believe we were in and out on that. Mr. Whitney has a different memory. I recall that being exceedingly brief testimony, and I don't think there was much cross at all on it. So I think that if there's an agreement to read it in just as to that specific, fine. If not, reading the whole thing is not going to take that much time. This is not like 2 hours of testimony. This was a pretty basic. She was on Zoom. I wish she had it recorded. We could play it back for him.
Was it recorded?
I don't know. I don't know if you can record Zoom on the court proceeding.
We don't do that.
Okay.
Didn't think so.
Judge, if we're going to read it back, I think we read the whole thing back. And my recollection is similar to Mr. Anderson's. I don't recall this being more than 30 to 40 minutes.
Well, my recollection of the case law on readback is as follows, that if the jury's asking for it, then obviously we can do it. And certainly that's not a problem. Obviously, are we opening the door for them to start asking for readbacks on everything, which of course it takes a lot of time. And I can tell them I don't know if we're going to be able to get it for you overnight or not, but I'll say it's going to take some indeterminate amount of time to get it back. But unless the jury's request is specific, I don't want to do anything other than read the entirety of the testimony unless the parties jointly agree to some narrower scope. And maybe if you do get the testimony tonight, you can discuss amongst yourselves what
It's certainly reasonable, and once we get it, I think we would then correspond with the defense and ask them, and if they don't, again, I do not believe that it's particularly onerous amount of time. So what we need to do is find out about the transcript, which I'm fairly sure we can get done overnight with only a half hour worth of testimony, and then provide it to both of us, talk, and then read it back to them tomorrow. I don't have any objection, since they have only identified this one section out of everything in the trial that they need. I would think under the case law it would be appropriate to at least suggest that, rather than error in an objective fact that should be before them.
Okay, I think we'll go with what I had suggested. I mean, they said they wanted to go until 6:15, so this is probably a good time to stop anyway. I'll still have them come at 8:15 if they are able to do that. I'll give them the option that's a possibility. And maybe I should say, if we're able to do it in the morning, can you tell us specifically what part or parts, or should we just don't give them that option?
I think that we leave that for tomorrow and we see how long the entire thing is. I don't know that we're saving that much time if it's 25 minutes and 10 minutes of it, but I'm open to anything.
Who's going to read? Who's going to read it?
Who's going to read it?
Maybe we can get some wigs.
I'm going to get Miss Lawrence in here. She looks like very economist-like. We can dress her up.
We can share the reading, Judge. We'll work that out.
Perhaps maybe one person from each team. I just don't want to get into a who's reading, and I don't want there to be, if we're going to go down this route, I don't want there to be any, your inflection was different or anything like that.
I'll be happy to read it, Judge. I'll be happy to participate in reading it, however they want to do it.
I think both parties agree we have bigger fish to fry than who's wearing the right wig.
Okay.
And heaven knows I need one.
That's what we're doing. Let's go ahead and bring in the jury, have them seal up their.
Yes, sir.